That's
LAFC. And that's not going to happen. No, right. Anytime soon. So it's one of those things where I say you have to consider your decision and how it's going to impact the potential of you falling out of that home field.
Oh, yeah.
You want to stay in there. I mean, I get it. We've got several weeks to go. Anything can happen. But you want, and again, don't make a decision to screw it up. No.
And it's difficult, too, because I think as we sit here, I think there's 11 matches to go in 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. So it's condensed because the playoffs start, early October as opposed to early November. And
the funny thing is, I think last year we sat at a brewery somewhere or my garage and talked about the fact that we need to do this, this, and this the next 11 games to get in the playoffs, and this needed to happen.
The opposite of everything happened.
It didn't happen.
Right.
And now we're sitting here going, well, we have an Open Cup game on Wednesday, and we have a game in Dallas again on Saturday. We have to figure out what we're going to do because we want to lose that playoff spot. We want to win the Open Cup.
Yeah, and what's funny is last year at this time, if I remember correctly, this is right when our big run ended.
Yeah.
It was. I think the run that the Minnesota United had was I want to say June, July.
Yeah.
Where they had actually climbed up into playoff position.
Yep.
But then it didn't take long. I think by the time
fell off.
I think by the time we got into August, they were already kind of settled into their 9-10 slot where they finished the year.
So it's a huge thing for us to be talking about this at this point.
Yeah, I want to say it again. We're in second place. I could say it over and over.
So let's get out of soccer talk, guys, because I think we've talked enough about soccer. The Loons won today, they're in second place.
Yes.
We could say that a few more times. But
Loons won, they're in second place.
There you go. Thanks, Tom.
One more time. Second place.
Second place.
Let's talk about the plague.
The plague, which is still kind of soccer related.
It is soccer related because there was a game. Was it yesterday?
Colorado and
yesterday.
Yeah. Who was that? Who were they playing?
Colorado and was Montreal.
I want to say Montreal.
It was Montreal.
And we should give a shout out to Colorado for we aren't going to talk about the game, but they did. Colorado ended up showing they won 6-3. At home. So impressive result. But
the deal is this. Before the game happened, the Colorado Health Department came out and said that there was they found plague on prairie dogs around the stadium.
Right. Well, the Arsenal Wildlife, whatever it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there were talks about not having the game.
Right.
They decided to have the game.
And they keep people posted.
No fireworks.
No fireworks.
And no parking in some areas around the stadium that were prairie areas where the prairie dogs were.
Right.
So there was potential for people to get the plague at an MLS soccer game.
Right. In the year
2019.
Not 14, whatever.
Yeah.
And this isn't,
it's I think it's a reason to freak out. The plague killed millions of people in Europe.
But here's the thing.
Now,
as someone who lived in Colorado for a few years, prairie dogs carry the plague. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, for the record, that's a good point to bring up. That it's actually not uncommon.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's actually not uncommon for there to be issues with humans getting the plague in Colorado.
It's a bacteria. In this day and age, we have antibiotics that can easily treat the plague.
Yeah.
Although it's just not something that you normally would see in a headline.
Exactly. You learn about the plague in I don't know, 8th grade history class.
Something like that. Yeah.
Where when you learn about Black Death.
Bring out your dead.
Yeah. And then you think about it when you watch Monty Python and Holy Grail. And it's like to think that it's 2019 and we got health department suggesting to Colorado Rapids that they not have a game.
Cancel the game
because of the plague.
It's something to think about, without even getting into the whole anti-vax kind of movement. But if you're talking about people who maybe don't have access to antibiotics, or something, it's something that people can get. If it affects prairie dogs or other mammals, that it's going to affect human beings. So you can't take that chance. And they actually did close off. I think they ended up closing off non-paved parking lots.
Yeah, that's what they said.
To avoid. You just want to avoid any contact with these fleas or prairie dogs.
My question is, Are people coming in contact with prairie dogs out there a lot? I mean, are they
I
walking
got
up to them
bit
and
by
petting
one
them?
last week, actually, but it was like
Where?
no,
Where?
or 2 weeks ago. I was in Greeley, Colorado, but yeah. The
Seriously,
fucker-
you got bit by
No,
a
I'm just
prairie
kidding.
dog?
No.
You bit by a prairie dog. didn't
You were
you?
in Greeley, huh?
I
But
was
no.
in Greeley, Colorado, which
But-
is not too far from Commerce City.
guys-
Not that, yeah.
But seriously, guys, how many people are going up to prairie dogs and petting them and like,
Well,
holding
what about
them
the
and
fleas? I mean, if the
Well,
fleas
yeah,
are
again,
affected,
fleas get off and they,
They
wander
jump around.
and
Yes, they
jump.
do. But you get to come pretty close to a prairie dog to get a flea, right?
I mean, where I was in Colorado, they basically said, you know what, if you're not in the city limits, you
Yeah.
can shoot prairie dogs for the hell of it.
Well, that's a good idea.
And I think that's a problem. There's a very different
Yeah.
philosophy between Western Colorado
Yeah, well,
and
I'm sure
Eastern
there is,
Colorado.
yeah.
Did you see that? I wish I could tell you who posted it, but there's a great video of like these what look like construction workers, and they were like, one of them like ran up and kicked a prairie dog.
I did not
He was
see
like,
that.
and they had a highlight of like a soccer background with
Yeah.
the stadium noise, and it's like, here's Colorado,
Kick the prairie dog.
Crowd goes wild as they kick the prairie dog out of there.
I
I'll
mean,
have to find it.
there are a lot of prairie dogs in Colorado.
Well-
If people haven't been there, they don't know. I mean,
Are they like the
they are everywhere.
golden gophers of Minnesota? Or
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I didn't go a day without seeing them.
Well, again, that's one of my things. Is like, obviously, it must be an issue if the health department's coming out and saying there's issues.
I
right?
mean, I think this was extreme. I think
So we
they
had, like,
noticed a lot more.
we had like a mob of prairie dogs in that area who had the plague.
Right. I mean, I guess.
And again, but let's go back to the
Arguably-
point that is 2019,
Right.
and this is in the news
Right.
about an MLS game.
And I mean, I'll go back to the fact that you're in a very high populated area.
Yeah.
I was in a very small populated area. You drove half a mile and you're out of town.
Yeah,
So the population control efforts of prairie dogs
yeah.
are very different.
Of
I mean,
course.
like I said, I could just drive a half mile and I could shoot a prairie
You
dog.
shoot
out
them
of
out,
the way.
yeah.
But in Denver,
You can't.
do that because you could drive 15 miles and you're still in a
Yeah.
densely populated area. So they don't. I would say they just don't have the ability to get rid of them.
My biggest question about prairie dogs is: are they anti-vaxxers? Prairie dogs are anti-vaxxers.
Well, I
No.
would think that they're anti-penicillin.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, you hit it. on
All
the
right,
knees,
all right.
Yeah.
maybe make a little clinic for the prairie dogs to go and get tested, maybe, and do some things.
I mean, just
They are
just
cute,
throw
though.
some.
they're not
penicillin.
what?
I mean, if you saw a prairie dog,
yeah,
if I saw a
they're-
prairie
they're
dog
nice.
inside
They're
of
nice
BlackStack here,
looking.
I probably would have. I might want to pet it.
Well,
I
yes.
want to do that.
mean-
I do look at that. When I was living out there, I'd drive along the highway and I'd see one. I'd be like, oh, that's cute. And then I'd be like, oh, that carries the plague. I want to run it over.
Carries diseases.
Yeah.
I don't.
And they eat their dead.
and
what? What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
oh, I don't think that's correct.
It is. They eat their dead.
Steven doesn't think it's correct.
I don't believe that.
I bet anything I could find something on
But
Wikipedia that says they do.
as we sit here and like joke about it, it is like, to be fair, they were up until the hours ahead of the Colorado Montreal match. They were pondering canceling
They were.
the game.
I know.
I mean, what they ended up doing, basically, for those who don't know, is they ended up closing a bunch of areas that were previously open.
Yeah.
Like, mainly, you've been there, but I think it sounded like they basically ended up closing a lot of parking lots.
Yeah.
It didn't affect the game other than parking.
And the fireworks, because I think
And
what
the
happens with the
fireworks,
fireworks
yes.
is people will go out of the stadium and
Where
hang out in those areas.
they
where
probably
prairie dogs
shoot
are
the
at.
fireworks from
Yeah.
a dirt area,
Yeah.
and so they can't risk somebody
And-
going into that.
Okay, I'm going to point out.
Yeah.
This is from the National Geographic, so
National Geographic.
I'm gonna hold them pretty strong.
Okay.
Okay.
They are in this article as
Yeah.
one of the 5 cannibalistic animals.
Oh no,
There you go.
that's incorrect.
That's National Geographic.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Do you work for National Geographic?
No. Without
Jeez.
any fact or basis, I'm going
Okay.
to disagree with the
This
National
is the intro sentence. They are the cutest infanticidal,
I agree with
cannibalistic serial murderers you will ever see.
They are cute. I'll give them that. But as far as the rest of that, no, that's not right.
I mean, this is an incredible.
If you believe the National Geographic, fine. But
I mean,
Dave,
they
you're
literally
a
had a
engineer.
literary person write this article because it's hilarious.
I'm not literally a literary person.
I'm telling you right now, if it was about cows, Dave, I'd be all like, I'd believe you. We're talking about prairie dogs, okay?
Fair enough.
This is nobody milks prairie dogs.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
fine.
this is even greater. The team of researchers noticed female prairie dogs going into the burrows of their closest female relatives, and when they come up, they frequently had blood on their faces. They're literally eating the young of their fellow female
That's
prairie
brutal.
dogs.
This just puts another whole spin on the whole plague thing. Jesus
They are cute. I just didn't realize they were that mean. Oh man. Wow.
Yeah, they're cute things, but then they're vicious.
This is awful. So, this is a quote. Mothers in their burrows stopped showing any signs of maternal behavior. Eventually, after much effort, we found decapitated babies.
What?
That had mostly been cannibalized.
Jesus Christ.
They are evil fucking
This
creatures.
is terrible.
So I wouldn't wish the plague upon anyone.
Oh.
Except the prairie dog.
Maybe the prairie dog is okay. Fine.
I mean, this is terrible.
Again, that was National Geographic.
Oh,
Maybe
man.
I'll get a link on our.
Yeah,
Twitter
you should
feed
probably put
for that.
a link
So
on our
people
Twitter
know
page
that I'm not
because
lying.
this is like this is bad. This is not good.
Let's just hope they have it under control, and by the time Colorado plays their next home match, it'll be all sorted.
Let's move on to another animal that's really bad.
Yes.
Meth gators.
And I want to bring this up because this is what you talked about 2 weeks ago. Where
did.
I had to leave, so I missed your conversation, which was great.
This is
by
what
the way.
happens when you leave.
Yeah.
But headline I'm seeing is Tennessee police warn flushing drugs could create
It was Tennessee, yeah.
hyper-aggressive alligators. And then another headline is, if you flush drugs down the toilet, you could be creating meth gators. A cop says. A cop said that.
I went off this story 2 weeks ago because I read it and I was like, oh my God. And the guy in the story said he had seen a meth gator.
Right.
And then come to find out, like a day after we did our podcast, there's all these news stories like Tennessee cop says that was not true. He was just trying to make a point about not flushing your drugs.
So he was making a hypothetical.
And he was just trying to blow things up.
Which makes sense because they don't have alligators.
So he's more concerned, and maybe rightly so, he's more concerned with the wastewater.
Well, yeah. I mean,
the municipal wastewater.
Which we discussed.
We discussed it.
Which is fair.
Again, I was talking about the fact that I work, my company does those treatment plants, and know from experience that they can get out most things, but they can't get out everything. So traces of drugs, not only meth, but other things.
Opioids.
Cocaine, the stuff I take for anxiety,
Molly
gets down in there. I don't know about Molly.
Oh, you don't take Molly for?
I don't take
sorry,
no.
sorry.
Not for
Dave's
anxiety.
over here
Jiminy Christmas.
I mean, if you want to
random
listen,
drugs.
I can listen.
Well, Dave's been to Amsterdam numerous times, so we can't. Yeah,
too many.
What I'm saying is they can't get everything out. So if you flush the meth down the toilet, it can potentially get in there. But the fact the guy had never seen a meth gator, and I commented last time, I said I would like to see a picture of a meth gator.
Right.
You know?
And I thought it would be interesting.
A quick Google search brings up blue alligators, and
that's not true. That's not true.
But if the alligators start turning blue, then maybe
that's CNN, so it's clearly not true.
Yeah.
That's CNN. Yeah, no.
News, but
yeah.
now
and that was look at that. That was right when we did our podcast.
It is.
Then
They probably stole it from us.
A day later,
it's interesting. Yeah, I really regret missing that conversation you had last week or 2 weeks ago. It was interesting.
It was. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. It was a good conversation, but we find out it's not true.
But it's kind of, you've heard versions of this story for years.
Well, of course, I've heard versions of groundwater, people burying stuff in the yard and then it seeping into the groundwater.
Yeah, honestly.
All that type of stuff.
Because, I actually think about this kind of thing a lot more than you would think because I work for a company, without getting into specifics, but I work for a company that deals with membrane filtration. Yeah. And a spin-off of that would be water purification. Yeah. So although I do not work in the wastewater industry, I could very well be working in that industry. So, but bottom line is, you're going to see all sorts of things at that point. And to say that we're not worried about an epidemic here. No. The plague is much more of a concern.
Right now, yes.
You can, Tony, if you want to flush your meth down the toilet, just go right ahead.
Why would I
it's
do
going to be. It's going to be taken care of.
Have you not seen the things before the movies in the movie house where they say this is your face of meth, this is your face not a meth, and it's like, good Lord.
Tony's like the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like
the before after middle.